Hi friends, Sophia here, and I look forward to sharing with you this deep stretch for the hips and legs, mostly standing, because that's the easier way to get into these joints if you are tight. And then once you get the mobility in your hips and legs that we're moving towards in this series, you'll be able to comfortably sit on the floor and do some deep stretches there. So let's begin with mountain pose, a little bit wider than the hips, a nice sturdy foundation. Sink into the soles of your feet. Feel yourself hugging the muscles of your legs towards the bones and also hugging the legs towards each other. Just an isometric drawing towards midline. That'll help give you a good amount of support. And then draw your belly gently in and up. Lengthen from your hips to your armpits. And let your shoulder blades relax down your back. Reach down a little bit into your fingertips, hugging the muscles of the arms to the bones, just like the legs. Let your breath go all the way. And just to begin, let's take a deep breath in and just welcome this day. Welcome yourself into this space and time. Exhale the arms back down. Once again, take it up as you press down through the legs. Lift through your torso. And stay lifted as you exhale. And one more time, take it up. And release down. So if we've got some tension in the hips, the first thing we want to do is just loosen them up. So maybe even step a little bit wider. And press your thigh bones forward. And then press your thigh bones back. Keep your head upright. You're moving from the legs. Forward and back. And now this time take them over to the side, front, and back, circling from the thighs. Not from the waistline, not from the head. Head stays up. Move from your legs and breathe out and in. And feel into your hips. What is present for you today? Are there some areas of pockets of tension you'd like to open up? Let's go the other direction, sweep the other way. Loosening up that, what's called your acetabulum, the little joint within your hip for which your femur, your thigh bone, rests upon. Circle around, feel into that. Loosen things up. Then we'll come right into center. Get even on both feet. And then from here, I'll turn sideways so you can see the alignment. Stay wide. We'll slide down onto the hands on thighs. Draw the shoulders back. Draw your bottom up and arch your back comfortably. And then scoop up the tailbone, round the back, and stretch. We'll take the pelvis over the top of your thigh bones. Get a sense of rocking your pelvis. Yes, you're also extending and flexing the spine. But utilize this practice to really feel into that relationship of your legs and your hips. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Once again, bringing some movement to loosen up those soft tissues, circulation in the joints. One more time. And then open it up. Good. Press through the legs and lift up. And we're going to come back down again. So sinking and lifting. As you come down, keep your weight back, knees behind your toes. Just warming those legs up a little bit. Warming up the hip joints. And as you lower, keep your belly lifted. You're not dumping down, you're lowering down. 3 more. Inhale and exhale. And then come to standing. Good. From here, right at the top of your thighs, at your groin where you hinge, bend the knees, and we're going to draw that back and come forward into a squat with your forearms on your thighs. Pressing back in your heels and lifting through your heart. Just press down into the hips. Notice how that feels. And now slowly begin to lift the sitting bones. Noticing how it feels in the back of your legs. Go to that first point of resistance. You don't need to straighten the legs because a lot of you probably won't be able to. And that's okay. You're going to that first stretch in the middle of your hamstrings. So you might keep your forearms on your thighs. You can let your head drop. And then if you'd like, you could take your hands to your legs, flare the elbows and curl in, lowering the head towards the floor. Maybe some of you can reach down towards the ankles. And some of you might just have to keep those forearms on your thighs. That's okay. The idea is get a gentle stretch to the back of the legs and along the spine. 3 more breaths here. And then place the hands on the thighs, bend the knees, lift the head and heart, and then push down to lift up. Okay, that first back side opening. Now, you'll want a couple blocks probably. This routine, this practice is meant for those that have a lot of tension in their hips and thighs. So if that's you, you're going to want some support with some props. Okay, you could also use a chair if you don't have yoga blocks. Put a chair in front of you. So we're going to take the legs as wide as you can comfortably. So that means you need to feel stable. Feet are grounded all 4 corners, toes straight ahead. Okay. Tone the belly as we did before, and then just like our first forward bend, you're going to take it back at the groin, bend the knees as you go, come on down, and then you want a chair or block so that your head is level to your hips. It's not about dropping down. In fact, lift yourself up, gaze forward, heart forward, okay, so you can see what's happening here, and you're shifting your weight back so your hips stay in line or even a little bit behind your heels. Now from here we're going to go for the inner thigh stretch. So bending one knee, maybe even walk your blocks over. If you have a chair, just keep your hands up, one hand on your chair, the other hand on your knee, and ease into your inner thigh of the straight leg. Keep that lift through your torso as you sink your hips. And breathe into that. So here's where gravity can really work for you. You're letting your legs go down with the pull of the earth while you stay light in your heart and your head. Now take 3 more deep breaths here. One more full deep breath in and out. I like to pulsate a little bit, slightly out, not bouncing, but pulsating, pulling into it. Then lift to center. If you're using blocks, walk up to the other side. If you have a chair, just change hands. Put one hand on your thigh, one on the chair, and then sink into the inner thigh. Sink way back in your hips. And breathe. Nice breeze blowing here, so that's cooling me off a little bit. Anchor down and let your breath flow like a gentle breeze through your body. It takes time for your soft tissues to unwind from areas of tension. So patience is key in this practice. One more breath, and we're going to repeat to the other side. It's always good to repeat. You know where you're going. And then you can refine it, either leaving the hands down or one hand on the leg, sinking into the hips and lifting through the head and the heart. Reminder. If you want to crease a little bit further, if you're more open, again, head level to the hips, just draw back more, crease a little bit at the hips, keep the bottom lifted. So notice the back is really long, it's not rounded. When you're ready to come up, lift from your hips, walk over to the other side, shift your weight back, and then down. And the reason we go back is to keep that bent knee behind the toes, protecting that knee. I'm going to go a little lower here. Bottoms up, hips down, chest open, breath flowing. Into the inner thighs. When you're ready to come to center, push down to lift up. Come right into center. And then you're going to pull your heels in, toes out, bend the knees, hands come back to the thighs. Lift your head and chest and stand up, squeezing the quadriceps. Bring your hands up the midline of the body. And then we're going to go right back down center. Let all your energy sink again into the hips. Go wide. So we're going to take the forearms, or leave the hands here if you can, forearms, and just open up those knees. Drop into those hip joints, kind of like sumo wrestler style. Sink in. On your next exhalation, make sure you're lifting your abdomen a bit, keeping the chest open. Wide squat. If you need, you could put your hands on the bricks. Drop down into the hip joints. Press down to the feet, lift the belly, draw the legs up, and drop back down again. Let's do that twice more. Press into the heels, lift the hips, and down. Okay, the whole purpose here, the intention is to get those hips mobile. Drop down, hold that lower position, find your balance, and pull everything up the middle. And down. Toes come forward, keep the legs wide, and just like we did earlier, but now with a wider stance, circle the hips. Rotate the joint. Other direction. So we opened up those inner thighs. We're going to open the hamstrings again. We did a little bit of that in the beginning, but let's do more. Hands on the hips, or if your shoulders are open enough, interlace your hands behind you. I'm going to show you, if you take your hands back and it pushes your shoulder forward, that's not what you want. This is not the position. We want the arm bones back. So hands on the hips if you need to, and only behind you if that is available. Okay, and from that wide straddle, we're going to bend the knees, hinge forward. Keep the arm bones back, collarbones broad, lean forward, weight in your heels, and then lower the head. And either keep the hands on the hips and squeeze your shoulder blades and your elbows towards each other, or if your hands are interlaced, same thing, shoulder blades and elbows in, and maybe press your hands towards the sky. Now take 3 deep breaths here, sinking your torso to open the back side of your body. Now I'm looking at a giant sculpture of Ganesh, who is the remover of obstacles. So let's all imagine the remover of the obstacles to our mobility, and let us sink into flexibility. Take the hands onto the hips, lift your head, lift your heart, lift your belly, strong back body. Then this time you're going to slide your hands down towards the ankles, wherever you reach, and pull in again. Flare your elbows out to the side. So you're going to open the space between the shoulder blades now. And yes, we're in forward fold again. So anchor the heels, squeeze your quadriceps, and lengthen the back of your legs. Move out of resistance. So you're not forcing your way in. You're easing your way into this space. With your next inhale, come up halfway once again. And this time, you're going to take your hands to the floor or the blocks, put them right between your feet, and drop down, pointing your elbows behind you. Again, opening the upper back while lengthening the hamstrings. And breathe. Patiently allowing the muscles to lengthen. Now, some of you might be up a little higher. That's okay. You don't have to have your head all the way down. Just press into the back of the legs. That's the whole intention here, is to lengthen your hamstrings. Then coming up halfway, with or without the blocks, hands come to the hips, and then unhinge all the way up. Walk in a little bit, like halfway, and guess what? Once again, we're going to rotate those hips. Unwinding the effort. Feel how much is waking up in those legs. Other direction. So we got the inner thighs, the back of the thighs. Now we're going to get the front of the thighs. So step in, remove your blocks to the side if you have them. Okay. Find your balance on both feet, and then we're going to balance on one leg. So I'm just going to turn a little sideways so you can see the alignment. If you need to, you could be like near a pole. That would be a great pole if I wanted to use one. You could put your hand on a wall, change your position, or if you have that chair handy, just put your hand on the back of a chair if you need support. In the meantime, when you have your balancing area, place your right foot firmly in the ground. Unweight the left heel for a moment. Just get yourself steady on your right leg. Toning the belly, keeping the hip back over the heel. Okay, arms out by your side, and then bending the other leg, bend the knee, reach back and hold, and let the other arm come forward. So this is where you might be holding on to a wall. Squeeze the buttocks and draw the tailbone in. That's going to open up your thigh. Open the thigh. You might want to take the arm overhead if you're balancing, otherwise leave it on the wall. And another thing you can do is drop both hands just to get a shoulder opener. Opening the chest. Squeeze the tailbone in. Okay. Arm out gives you that balance. Arm up gives you a little more opening in the hips. And then release the leg down and let go. Okay. It's a lot. Other side. So shifting your weight into the left foot. I'm just turning for your visual convenience. Unweight the other. Maybe start with the hand out on the wall or a chair. Chest wide open. Reach back to the foot. Tuck the tail. Now if you can't reach the foot because of your knees, you could use a tie. Bring the leg up. Draw the tailbone in. It is a balancing pose, so notice. Take the arm up if that's comfortable for you. Draw the leg back, opening the front of the thigh. Last option, both hands back, opening the chest. Or just leave your hand forward. Then release. Feel that opening in the front of the leg. That's just a warm up. We're going to go a little deeper now. So walk that out. Walk out your feet. Open up the ankles from that balancing. And then bring your two blocks towards the short end of your mat. And step between your blocks. Find that tall mountain pose. Feet grounded, head held high. Turn the palms open. Let your breath go. Inhale the arms overhead. And then hinging at the hips, anchor down. Feel your weight in your feet. Shift your weight back. Bend your left knee a little bit. Take the right leg up. Reach way back until you have a square in the front leg. And then lower your kneecap and your toenails, pressing to the front of the shin. Then lift your head and chest and pull the hips back. Let your front toes come off the ground, showing you. And stretch into the back of the leg. Then as you come forward, drag your tail in like you're pulling your tail underneath you and open your chest. You might even move your hands back a little. So let's do this lunge rock. Exhale. Forward fold. Inhale, lunge. Forward fold. Lunge. Feel into your hips. Now if you sit a lot, which is something you want to avoid, but maybe you can't, then you want to make sure you open. You do a lot of lunging to balance out your sitting. So as we come forward, pause, open the front of that hip, and then take the hands to the thigh and push down to pull your belly away. So you really feel that in that back thigh. Similar to what we just did in the standing pose. To further open the front line of the body, take the arms overhead. If your shoulders are tight, bend the elbows. They're open, straight up. Lengthening your armpits up away from your hips as you sink your hips to the earth. Press your head back a little bit and breathe. Enjoy that last breath. Then bring the hands down. Take it back again. And then this time as we come forward, the hands come to the inside. Walk your front leg out wide. Okay. Place your blocks down at the second or first level. And then bring your hips forward. You might have to rearrange. You always want your knee over your ankle. And then place your forearms on the blocks and let your hips sink. You could come to the edge of your foot. Don't sickle it, but draw it up nice and strong and sink into the hips. And then in order to open the outside of the hip, we've opened the front, we've opened the inner, we've opened the back. Roll out on that back leg. Roll to the side a little bit. So you might want to roll back and forth and just feel into that. It's a lot. If that's too much, keep your body up and do it. Just see what you can find. Feel into your hip joints. Okay? Some of you might come even lower on the blocks or even all the way to the floor. Okay? It's called lizard pose. So you can just imagine being low to the ground like a lizard. And move into your hips with your breath. Take your time to play around. Now I feel a lot more in my front hip. I like to really open that knee up. Get deep in the hip joint there. But if you want the side hip, drop down on the straight leg. Let's take another breath. Notice what you're feeling. You can always come back and play more. Repetition is where you experience change. Take the hands on the ground and then lift up. Okay? Take the block to the outside. And you're going to lift the hips and shift your weight forward to come onto both feet. Give yourself a forward fold. Then come all the way up. And we're going to go right back down. Exhale. So now this time, take the other leg back. Square the knee. Lower it. Toenails down. Okay, that's an opener for your ankle back there. Move the hips back, toes up, stretch into the back of the leg. Open into the front of the hip. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, moving slow so your body has time to really respond. One more time back. And then we'll come forward for that crescent moon. Anchor that front leg for stability. Hands on thighs. Pull the belly away, opening up that whole front line. Once you're stable, take the arms up. If you feel a little unstable, keep your gaze down. If you feel balanced, take your gaze up and press your head back a bit. Lengthen your ribs away from the pelvis. Really open up that front belly and breathe. Deep into the psoas, that muscle that connects your spine to your leg. Oh, so important in relaxing the nervous system. It's your muscle of fight or flight. When it's relaxed, you can rest and digest. So open those hips. One more breath. Stay lifted through the torso as the arms come down. Okay. Take it back. And then bring the arms to the inside. Walk your front foot out to the side. Lean forward. Maybe drop the front knee open. Or here's where you can roll into the side of the hip. So taking the hips right to left. Be curious. Go where it feels right for you. Take your time. Find that juicy spot and hang out for a few breaths. Opening the hips gives such freedom to our mobility. Let's anchor down a little bit deeper. Engage the abdomen when we're ready to come up. Pull up from your belly. Good. And this time we're just going to take the leg back. Move the blocks to the side. Slide your hands forward of your shoulders, not under your shoulders, forward of your shoulders. Give yourself a little cat-cow. And then from that lifted position, bottoms up, take your knees off the ground, push into your arms and move your chest towards your thighs, like a forward bend, right? So lift the sitting bones, tone the belly, hinge at the hips, and let's walk the heels out. Stretching again through the back of that leg. And then walk your feet to the edge of the mat, big wide dog, and hold the pose. Now your heels can be high. It's not about getting your heels to the ground. It's about lengthening your spine and lengthening your legs. And breathe. Now step your feet more narrow. Look up at your hands. Walk your feet towards your hands. Bring your hands to your shins. Lift your head and chest. Hug in. Lift your head and chest again. Bend the knees so your strong legs can lift you. And draw it back to the heart. So I've got one more opener for you. Let me fix myself up here. Nice and wide. This is kind of a medium wide actually. We're going to get down in the hips again. And I want you to practice this one as often as you can because this is a big hip opener. And it's really going to help you have more mobility. When your hips are open, your spine is free. And you'll be able to sit comfortably on the floor. So drop down. Place your forearms on your thighs. Your knees are super bent, right? And you're really dropping into your hips. So it's a squat, big wide squat. And you can really let your hips kind of drop in. Breathe side to side. Breathe and move side to side. You can breathe side to side. Letting the hips go to the ground. If that's too deep, just come up a little higher. Pressing your knees open, right? So you're getting the adductors, getting deep into the hip joint. You're opening the gluteal muscles. Drop into that squat. Notice how that feels. Now you're going to push into the feet. Lift your pelvic floor. Can you find that? Lift your perineum. Lift your belly so you get light and start to straighten the legs. Hands transfer to the thighs. Straighten the legs. Let's lower the head one more time. Move your toes forward so your feet are parallel. Give yourself a big hug. And we're going to roll up this time. So bend the knees, hands on thighs, chin to throat, and slowly roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. Looking down at those legs, appreciating them. Looking down at those hips, appreciating the movement you do have. Come all the way back up to center. Step your feet in. And one more time, we're going to, from a narrow stance, circle the hips around. And just sense that awakening that you've given to your hips and legs, other direction. Practice this often, and you'll start to notice your body moving more freely, which will bring both strength and grace. Now stand well on your own 2 feet. Take a deep breath in with me. Let it go. Hands come together at the heart in a symbol of gratitude. So glad you're taking care of yourself. Keep returning again and again, because through repetition you will gain benefits and you will feel good, allowing you to have fun in life and live well. Be sure to subscribe and leave me a comment on how you're doing with all of this. Thank you so much. Namaste.